You finish your refreshing bottle of iced tea. You look at the two bins in front of you. With a sense of civic duty, you carefully drop the plastic bottle into the blue bin. You smile. You've done your part to save the planet. You are a hero. But what if we told you that your heroic act is exactly what giant oil and gas corporations paid billions of dollars for you to do? What if that bottle isn't going to a state-of-the-art recycling plant, but is actually on a one-way trip to a massive landfill, an incinerator, or the middle of the Pacific Ocean? Welcome to one of the most successful, most devastating, and most brilliant marketing scams in human history. The Great Plastic Lie. To understand this massive deception, we need to go back to the mid-20th century. Plastic was hailed as a miracle material. It was lightweight, durable, waterproof, and unbelievably cheap to produce. It democratized consumer goods. From medical devices that saved millions of lives to spacecraft parts, plastic was the material of the future. But there was a tiny, catastrophic catch. Because it was so cheap, industries realized they could make more money if things were used once and thrown away. Thus, the era of single-use plastic was born. By the 1970s and 80s, the environment was literally choking on this miracle material. Mountains of immortal garbage piled up, rivers clogged. People started to get angry. Environmental movements gained massive momentum. Governments threatened to ban or heavily tax plastics. For the giant fossil fuel corporations who make plastic from oil and gas, this was an existential threat. They were about to lose billions. The industry needed a solution. They couldn't stop making plastic, so they had to change how we felt about throwing it away. Enter the chasing arrows. In the late 1980s, the plastic industry spent millions pushing a massive PR campaign. They took the universally recognized recycling symbol and quietly slipped a tiny number from 1 to 7 inside it. They stamped this on the bottom of almost every plastic product. To you, the consumer, this symbol meant, hey, I am recyclable. Don't feel guilty. But to the industry, those numbers were just resin identification codes. Legally, stamping the symbol didn't mean the item could or would be recycled. It just identified the type of chemical. It was a psychological trick. They shifted the blame from the massive corporations producing the trash directly onto your shoulders. If the planet is polluted, it's because you didn't sort your garbage correctly. But wait, why is recycling plastic so hard? We recycle aluminum and glass all the time. Well, this brings us to the fundamental chemistry of polymers. Think of plastic like a plate of spaghetti. Long, tangled molecular chains. When you melt down glass or metal, their elemental structure remains intact. You can melt an aluminum can infinitely, and it's still perfect aluminum. But plastic? Every time you melt plastic, those long spaghetti chains break down and snap. The material degrades. The quality drops drastically. Furthermore, there are thousands of different types of plastics, with different melting points, dyes, and chemical additives. You can't melt a red ketchup bottle and a clear water bottle together. You get a toxic, useless brown sludge. Because sorting and cleaning this mess is incredibly expensive. Creating brand new virgin plastic from fossil fuels is almost always cheaper. Economics dictates reality. Therefore, realistically, less than 9% of all plastic ever produced has actually been recycled. Even that tiny 9% isn't really recycled. It's downcycled. Your water bottle doesn't become another water bottle. It becomes a park bench, or polyester clothing, or a carpet. And when that carpet wears out, it can't be recycled again. It goes to the landfill. Recycling plastic doesn't close the loop. It just delays the inevitable trip to the garbage dump by one single life cycle. To make matters worse, for decades, wealthy nations simply packed their recyclables onto massive cargo ships and dumped them in developing nations, pretending they were processed. Out of sight, out of mind. And now, we are facing the true cost of this immortal garbage. Plastic doesn't biodegrade. It simply breaks down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. Microplastics and nanoplastics. These invisible invaders are now everywhere. They are in the deepest trenches of the ocean. They are falling with the snow on the peaks of Mount Everest. But more terrifyingly, they are inside us. Scientists have recently found microplastics in human lungs, in our bloodstreams, and even crossing the blood-brain barrier. They are in the placentas of unborn babies. We are quite literally breathing, eating, and drinking the very material we thought we were recycling. Are bioplastics the answer? Right now, mostly no. Many require extreme industrial composting facilities that simply don't exist in most cities. Without them, they just act like regular immortal plastics in the ocean. So, are we doomed to become a plastic-wrapped species? Not necessarily. The first step to solving a problem is waking up from the lie. We must stop feeling guilty for a broken system we didn't design. We need to shift the focus from the bottom of the supply chain, the consumer, back to the top, the fossil fuel corporations. We need strict legislation that forces companies to take full responsibility for the entire life cycle of the products they create. We need to ban unnecessary single-use plastics entirely. No more absurd, over-engineered packaging, where a single banana is wrapped in 3 layers of thick plastic shrink wrap. Seriously, nature already gave it a perfectly biodegradable wrapper. Recycling was a beautiful dream. But when it comes to plastic, it was hijacked to keep the assembly lines running. You should still recycle your aluminum, your paper, and your glass. But for plastic, the only real solution is reduction. We must turn off the tap rather than trying to mop up a flooded house with a tiny sponge. It's time to demand better. It's time to reject the plastic lie. If you want to help us uncover more truths about our world, subscribe and hit the bell. And maybe, just maybe, buy a reusable water bottle. Thanks for watching.